Good morning, everyone. I would like to very warmly welcome you to today's session, which is dedicated to education and innovation for skills development. My name is Antoinette Christopher, and for those who don't know me, I'm Director for Innovation, Digital Education and International Cooperation in the Directorate General for Education, Youth, Sport and Culture at the European Commission. And I have the great pleasure and honor to moderate the discussion today. So, in the next 45 minutes, we'll have the opportunities to discuss how to empower the next generations through education and innovation, and how to help them develop the skills they need to respond to global societal challenges, as well as how to help them thrive in a fast-changing and increasingly digital world. Our discussion today will build on the outcome of the first Education and Innovation Summit, which was held earlier this year in June. And at the summit, we brought together key actors from the world of innovation and education to share knowledge and inspiring experience. At the event, we also discussed the best ways in nurturing talents and reinforcing the role of education as an engine of innovation. So we'll also reflect on the critical role of various actors in driving forward education and innovation and in strengthening the links between the two. The perspectives of the European institutions, national authorities, higher education institutions, and the private sector are all very important. They're also crucial to achieving the objectives of the two policy initiatives which were adopted by the European Commission earlier this year on the proposal of Commissioner Gabriel, namely the European Strategy for Universities and the new European Innovation Agenda. So I now have the pleasure to introduce our distinguished speakers who will share the views on how the world of education and innovation can act together to empower the next generations. And I'm very pleased to welcome the European Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth, Ms. Maria Gabriel. We are really honored to have you, Commissioner Gabriel. We also have with us from Sofia, joining online, the Deputy Minister of Education and Science of Bulgaria, Professor Albena Chavdarova. With us is also the Honourable Member of the European Parliament, Mrs. Petra Kamara-Vert, who is also a member of the Committee on Culture and Education. We also have with us Dr. Paul Rubich, member of the European Economic and Social Committee and member of the Governing Board of the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. With us are also representatives of the higher education institutions, Professor Claudia Kutnar, who is a rector of the University of Primorska in Slovenia, and also Professor Tiziana Lipielu, who is the rector of the Ca' Foscari University of Venice in Italy. A very warm welcome to all of you again, and many thanks for taking part in today's discussion. Before we start, let me also welcome the audience which is with us online today and who are following this discussion. Once again, a very warm welcome. And now, without further ado, I would like to open the discussion and actually address my first question to Commissioner Gabriel. Commissioner, yesterday during the plenary session in the EU Research and Innovation Days, you presented the new European Innovation Agenda. Could you please tell us how do you see the contribution of this new policy initiative as well as of the European Strategy for Universities to build resilience and sustainability in Europe? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Antoinette. Well, allow me to begin by saying thank you very much to all our panelists. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to be here together with all of you. Well, I would like to start saying that today we are talking about education and innovation, and I think that there is a key moment. That was the first Education and Innovation Summit that we organized together in June. What we discovered during this summit, it was that the two worlds of innovation and education have a lot of common. They must think more spontaneously to each other, and for us, of course, we must support them in this journey and in this endeavor. So I think that first, it's very clear our message today that education innovation at all levels, and notably our higher education institutions, are at the heart of Europe's capacity for innovation. Only with them we can definitely on one side preserve what is needed in terms of skills and competencies, and at the same time with innovation to prepare all those that they need competencies and skills for our future. So yes, I think that for us today that's a great occasion on one side to see what we have in the European Innovation Agenda, what we have in the European Strategy for Universities, and how to build synergies. And I think that yes, now those two frameworks are here that will be up to us to identify where is the added value of more common actions. And of course, I would like here to talk only with examples, because I think that that's only the most useful thing. I'm starting with the European Innovation Agenda, and here we have a very ambitious goal: 1 million talents in deep tech and innovation. Of course, here I'm very pleased that we have Dr. Paul Rubik with us, because we count here definitely on the experience of EIT, our European Institute of Innovation and Technology. They already symbolizes this knowledge triangle between education, research and innovation, but now they can help us to build stronger links between education and innovation, and this with an ecosystem approach. So I think that here, again, for us it will be very important to see how together with EIT and our universities we can nurture the culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. And we know that in Europe we have to do some additional efforts on this. Of course, all this in parallel will be complemented with what we already have with the European Strategy for Universities and, of course, Erasmus Plus programs. Again, when we talk about Erasmus Plus program, the ambition now is to have 100,000 traineeships per year. Not easy, but of course, who can help us? Our universities and the experience of EIT. The same when we talk about the European Strategy for Universities, never forget that for the first time in the European Strategy for Universities, innovation is an integral part. And now we have this very concrete idea, incubators at universities, that is already, I must say, one of the flagship initiatives of the newly created European Network of Innovative Universities. I very much count on them. Remember, we announced the creation in the month of June. Only 3 months later, they already started to work. They will present some of their recommendations. And of course, for us, it will be crucial to see how we can better support them. So yes, now with the European Innovation Agenda and the European Strategy for Universities, we have the framework. But of course, that will be up to us to fulfill these frameworks with concrete initiatives, with results, and above all, to allow our universities and our innovators to thrive and to see Europe as their home.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. You very clearly outlined the link and the synergies between the two policy initiatives, as always, with very concrete examples. And certainly your vision and leadership, which is also framing the discussion we are having today, will be essential and leading forward the implementation of these strategies. Of course, it will be very interesting to hear now from the other speakers about their perspectives in terms of the concrete actions that are outlined in the two policy documents and their contributions. So I would continue with my next questions. And my next question is actually going to Deputy Minister Čevdarova. Professor Čevdarova, from your national perspective, what do you think are the incentives that are needed at European and national level to transform higher education institutions into engines of innovation? Can you hear us, Professor Čevdarova?
Micro.
We cannot hear you.
Now it's
Извинявайте.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Много технически проблеми.
Technical problems.
Има някакъв друг. Да, благодаря.
Thank you. Yes.
Отново искам да благодаря за
I'd
предоставянето
like to say thank you for the opportunity. I'm sorry, the sound's going.
Посоча нашето виждане по така поставените
I would like to mention our vision.
Въпросът, който ми зададохте, аз
question that you asked me,
и би го разгледала в три аспекта. Първият аспект, според мен,
the first aspect of the question, I'm really sorry, but it's breaking the sound.
Институции за висше образование и да развиваме иновации да създаваме и развиваме иновации в тях, ако ги няма изследователите, ако ги няма преподавателите, ако ги няма
if we don't have the teachers, if you don't have the students,
субекти ще бъдат част и са включени именно в това да създават и да развиват всички тези иновации. А относно това,
in relation to, I'm really sorry, but the sound is breaking all the time.
Следвало да подкрепим една стимулираща среда, която наистина да дава
support the stimulating environment to give this opportunity to fulfill the investment. The financial question as well is very important. If we don't have enough funds, it will not be able to develop all the investments. And on the third place, which is also very important, in terms of personal plan, exchanging of good practices, the career fulfillment, this is very important in order to be able to involve all the participants in the process of innovation. The second example, at European level, I would like to say that for us, this practice for developing European universities is very good, and we are welcoming it because all the results from the scientific innovations, they can be popular, they can be promoted, and at the same time, we can encourage contacts, cooperation on international and cross-institutional level. And the third aspect is on national level. I would like to give two examples who are very important. I think there will be incentives, and there are incentives to develop the innovations, and they can be engines of innovations. The first one is that in Bulgaria, since 2010, we have developed a rating system for universities, for higher education. At the beginning, this ranking system has been developed as a system, as a database, facilitating the choice of particular higher school and a specialty and majors to help them decide where to apply for their higher education. But this system became very important on a national level because the results that we have, all the indicators within the system, they give us the opportunities to finance the higher institutions, the higher education institution, in the part related to the quality of education. And the second example is a relatively new example in the national policy, but it is already yielding visible results. At the beginning of 2020, we started developing research universities. And through this indicator, annual indicator, we managed to promote the research universities in Bulgaria, and then we will be able to go towards innovations, of course, within the European space, and then we'll be able to create and to make them an engine of innovations. Of course, I have only a very short period of time, so that's all I'm going to say for now. I'm really sorry, but the sound was breaking all the time.
Thank you very much for your valuable insights, Professor Chavdarova, and for giving us the perspective of member states. Once again, you very clearly highlighted the need for integrated approach in supporting the higher education institutions in transforming into really drivers of innovation, and also the importance of teachers and students. And as Commissioner Gabriel already highlighted, the role further supporting the initiative for the European university alliances with very concrete examples. So thank you very much. And now I'm moving to our next speaker, to Mrs. Kamerabat. As member of the European Parliament and of the Committee on Culture and Education, how do you think we can maximize the impact of the European and national instruments in shaping the entrepreneurial and innovative next generation? And how would you see the role of institutional players in that regard?
Ja, vielen herzlichen Dank auch für die
Thank you very
Frage.
much.
Ich würde allerdings in dem Zusammenhang gerne nochmal auf das Verhältnis von Skills, Bildung und Innovation zurückkommen, weil ich glaube, das ist ganz wichtig. Wir reden
Skill building and
über
innovation
Innovation,
and the connection
reden
between
auch
the two.
häufig über Reskilling und Upskilling.
Because
Und ich glaube,
we
wir
talk
dürfen
about reskilling
dabei
and
unter gar keinen
upskilling when we
Umständen
talk about
vergessen,
innovation.
dass Re- und Upskilling natürlich Bildung in einem ganzheitlichen Ansatz
Sometimes we
nicht
forget
ersetzen kann, sondern
that
höchstens
reskilling and
ergänzen kann,
upskilling
das ist höchstens
cannot
sozusagen
replace
einer
education,
in einer kompletten Bildungsbiografie. Und
but they
ich
have to
glaube, wir
be
müssen als Politik
embedded
sehr darauf
in a
achten, dass
holistic education
durchgängig,
system.
also angefangen von den ganz Kleinen bis zu den ganz Großen.
And it has to start with the small ones, with the tiny ones,
jedem Einzelnen auch einen freien Geist sozusagen zu ermöglichen und kritisches Denken
to
ein Stück weit
the
auch zu
higher
fördern
classes,
in einem solchen Prozess.
the later classes, to really drive critical thinking,
Kritikfähigkeit auch sind der beste Motor auch für Innovation. Und deshalb
which is the best driver for innovation.
Die Frage, wenn es um Reskilling und Upskilling geht, ganz wichtige Themen
And
natürlich.
so there's
Aber da
always the
kommt also dieser
question
Bildungs-
when we
und dieser
talk about
ganzheitliche
reskilling
Bildungsaspekt immer
and upskilling.
letztendlich ein bisschen zu kurz. Und ich glaube, da müssen wir ein bisschen
that
aufpassen, dass uns hier
we
dieser
don't focus on that
Bildungsansatz nicht
only,
verloren geht.
but in
Ich
context
glaube, dass wir
of
beispielsweise mit den
broader
europäischen
education.
Hochschulallianzen, wie wir sie jetzt geschaffen haben, und
In these
das
high school
Statut eines darin im Verbund
alliances
ermöglichten und allgemein anerkannten Abschlusses, dass wir
that
damit einen ersten Schritt getan
we
haben,
have
beispielsweise unser großes Ziel
now
einer
started at the
automatischen
first
Anerkennung
step
auch von Abschlüssen europaweit ein Stück näher zu kommen.
to have
Das
a
ist eine
harmonization
große Bremse
of
auch für Innovation.
degrees, higher education degrees in Europe.
Der Situation sind, dass wir hier Hürden aufbauen, was die Anerkennung von
Because
Abschlüssen angeht.
what we've
Dass wir
been
Hürden
doing
aufbauen, die am
so
Ende des
far
Tages
is
tatsächlich Innovation erschweren und Innovation auch
making it more difficult to innovate by having hurdles put in place
wenn wir eine
in
nachhaltige,
the
innovationsfreudige Umgebung schaffen wollen, bedarf
acknowledgement
es
of,
unbedingt einer stärkeren
let's say, foreign
Durchlässigkeit und Flexibilisierung auch unserer Bildungssysteme
high school
in der Europäischen Union.
diplomas,
Also
etc.
ich glaube,
So
das ist in
within
manchen
the
Ländern
context of the
besser
European
als in
Union, this
anderen, aber ich glaube, durchgängig haben wir tatsächlich, was die Durchlässigkeit
taking down
der
these
Bildungssysteme
hurdles
angeht,
is
hier nach wie vor
essential.
ein Problem. Und was ich mir wünschen würde, um Innovationen auch ein Stück weit voranzutreiben, ist,
So
dass wir nicht nur
what I
versuchen,
personally wish
Synergien
for
herzustellen, jetzt zwischen Horizon und
is that we
Erasmus Plus beispielsweise,
don't only make
sondern dass wir
synergies
auch
between Horizon and Erasmus Plus,
Hochschulallianzen stärker
but that
versuchen,
we
einen Link
also
hinzukriegen zu anderen Bildungseinrichtungen.
try to
Also
link
zum
to
Bereich
other
der beruflichen
educational
Aus- und Weiterbildung
institutions
beispielsweise.
through the high school
Für
alliances,
Unternehmen auch, weil ich glaube, das kann ein ganz wichtiger Schritt sein.
and that we
um hier
also build the
tatsächlich
link
auch
between these
Innovation zu
institutions
erreichen.
and
Und dann zum Schluss
corporations.
noch eine Bitte an die Kommission. Ich glaube, auch
And then I
das verhindert Innovation
like to
am Ende des Tages.
ask
Das sind diese
the Commission
unendlich komplizierten Antragsverfahren,
do
wenn
not
es auch darum geht, Synergien zwischen Horizon und
overcomplicate
Erasmus zu heben, weil wenn allein
innovation
das Verfahren schon
and do
nicht
not
erfüllt,
burden
dann ist das nicht,
innovation
ist das
by
nichts, was Innovation fördert,
having
sondern
such
was
cumbersome
Innovation
application
auch verhindert.
processes
Also hier müssen wir, glaube ich, einen
in the synergies between Horizon Plus and Erasmus, for example,
Weg finden,
and that we
solche
should
Synergien tatsächlich zu heben,
tear
die
down
Innovation
bureaucratic hurdles
letztlich über Antragsverfahren im Keim ersticken.
rather than nipping the innovational drive in the bud.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Kameravat. Indeed, you underline the importance of a holistic approach, and also you raise very important issues of how to further strengthen the synergies between existing instruments, and you pointed very clearly out of what needs or could be further done to build these synergies and complementarities between the Erasmus Plus program and the Horizon Europe program. So Commissioner Gabriel will have afterwards the possibility to react and get her views on that. But I would like now to move to our next speaker, and Dr. Rubich. What other instruments are there to support European and national efforts in creating ties between education and innovation? We heard just now that there are certain challenges, but how do you see it from your perspective as a member of the governing board of the EIT, the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, and how do you think the EIT can serve this purpose?
As you know, Maria Gabriel, our commissioner, knows that the green and the digital deal is a big challenge which we're in front. And of course, we can't get it if we don't have the right education. And of course, it starts in the kindergarten with the skills and the skills training, writing by hand, not only on the computer. So it's quite fascinating how the value chain of education is developing. And I still remember my time in the European Parliament, where in the Budget Committee we started a preparatory action on Erasmus for young entrepreneurs. Because the exchange of innovation, how to approach the market, what is the demand of the consumers, that's so crucial. And so Erasmus for Young Entrepreneurs was the right step into a good educational day-by-day training. So it's vocational training, which is necessary, where people understand what's done in the daily life. I was in Israel, in Tel Aviv, at the university, and you know, they have one very important area. Every university professor has to be one day in the week out in a real company or in a real institution. So that they are confronted with the daily living in other areas. And of course, this exchange of views, it's quite important. And that's where also the EIT comes from. I still remember as Commission President Barroso came to the European Parliament and said, I'm back from MIT, from the United States, and we have to have something like this in European Union as well. And the Parliament said, no, we don't like it, because you will take the money out of the research program, and so we have to cut it from others. So we had a nice dinner with President Barroso, with some of the people who are involved in the project, and then we said, no, we want to have a real European idea, not a copy of the MIT. We want to have something which identifies our European culture. And then, you know, the European culture is, of course, we are 27 member states, 24 languages, so it's a totally different setup. And so bringing together scientific people and the knowledge out of the 9 framework programs which we had up till now, where a lot is stored in Florence in our archives, and it's not really used for the education. I think bringing out where we give the money from the programs immediately into our education system, you know, the storytelling of what would be a progress would be quite important. And so this mixture from working in an institution or in a company, being at the university, and having all the research results, this is a very good mixture from the European Institute of Technology, and of course to have focus on the most important areas for the development. So what we need in higher education, if we want to have the Green Deal and the Digital Deal, of course we need a lot of more engineers. We need a lot of more qualified people. So the real task force should be in putting all our power into this area of using our young people for a brighter future.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rubik. Thank you for reminding us about the long journey of DIT and really great contribution they're making by bringing together research, innovation and education together through their knowledge triangle model. And it is indeed unique. And what is important is you already reinforced the line that we have to start very early on, and DIT is making really a crucial contribution in very concrete areas and sectors like energy, digital, food and agri. Thank you very much for this very valuable contribution. And now I move on to Professor Kuttner to hear from the higher education institutions. So since the University of Primorska is a member of the network of innovative higher education institutions, how do you see the role of the network in supporting entrepreneurship and innovation capacity of higher education institutions?
Hello, thank you very much. I am really honored to have the opportunity to be here. Before answering the question, I would like to give one analogy with mathematics. I'm a mathematician, so what universities can do for more innovative Europe. And in mathematics, we started with numbers because we needed to count things. Then we needed to make a new system of counting that we were also be able to count the parts of the whole entities. And for some time this was enough. But then what followed? We started to solve equations, quadratic equations, cubic equations, and we needed numbers that have a negative square. And imaginary numbers were taken into the system. So whenever in research you come to the point that the existing rules, the existing system is not enough, we invent a new system with new rules. And I believe that the EU society came to the point that we need a new set of rules. And I think that the two documents that were mentioned today, the new strategy for European universities and the new European innovative agenda, are a really good starting points. And I would like to point out the micro-credentials, lifelong learning, EU student card, EU diploma. These are very important basic things for innovative Europe, for making the education, the higher education system really useful in the achieving goals for the innovations. But going back to the question, so University of Primorska is very young university, established in 2003. We are also young with employees, so and gender balance is very good. More female researchers than men's, and so being as a young university, very flexible university, where we don't have all the research areas covered yet. It's very easy. It's easier to make some innovations. So then on some old university, very established university with strong research groups, it's hard to make changes. And as it was mentioned already today, it's very important that the universities are the ones that recruit talents for further development of Europe. And when we started with our university, it was really hard to recruit Slovenian students because we have two excellent public universities, older universities in Slovenia, and University of Ljubljana and University of Maribor. And so when we were deciding how to make our role in this context, we said internationalization is the the crucial point, the strategy. And so in next week, when we start with the new academic year, we will have 20% of students coming from abroad, from 45 different countries. And we are also having a scholarship fund, so we are mainly financing, giving scholarships to STEM students from outside Europe. We are hunting for them at different competitions for high school students. And the network will help us a lot because there are really well-established universities in the network, and they will help us to develop new areas of research. And also would like to mention that in Slovenia we just started with a new program of higher education till 2030, and with a new strategy for research and innovation. And we are in the process of preparing action plans, and we will be able to actually implement everything that is going on within the network to Slovenian national action plans for the added value of innovative Europe.
Thank you very much, Professor Kuttner. Thank you for sharing with us the experience and the activities of the University of Primorska. Being young actually bring new ideas, freshness and more agility. So indeed, it's important, the point you made on internationalization, because this is something strongly promoted by the European programs, by the Erasmus Plus program, by the initiatives we are taking, like the European University Alliances, but also the Innovative Higher Education Institutions Network. So moving now to our next speaker, this is Professor Lipiello. You're coming from the Ca' Foscari University of Venice. You're a rector there, and the university is a member of the European Network of Innovative Higher Education Institutions as well. But the university is also a partner in one of the European University Alliances. This is the Utopia. So from your perspective, how can the European University Alliances be pioneers in implementing the innovation-related actions in the European Strategy for Universities and the new European Innovation Agenda? Where do you see the synergies?
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity today and to exchange ideas with the colleagues and with Commissioner Maria Gabriel and with you, of course. I would start from a sentence from Commissioner Maria Gabriel in Salamanca. She said, Europe is eager to become a global power and to invest on startup and innovation. So it is important, according to me, to build together the concept of European identity and to help students to feel Europeans. So to include them in defining what is Europe and what are European values. I am a sinologist in Chinese studies, and I've been living in China for a few years, so I know how Asian people look at Europe. Europe is seen as the old continent in a positive way because it is a continent full of cultural heritage. So I think we should valorize this, the cultural heritage we have, but at the same time we have to be able to take this opportunity to innovate, to be innovative, and so to combine cultural heritage, which is very rich and rare in the world, with innovation. And so I think now within the European Alliance is so far a very good experience. We work on European values, we work on good practices together, we exchange ideas on government, on how to govern universities, on the role of students. We try to include the students, and we should do more on that, I think. And it is important to find synergies between all the European and regional actions and initiatives. These initiatives do not dialogue enough, according to me. There should be more dialogue with our governments, but also between the various initiatives. For instance, alliances with the project Bauhaus, should find synergies, and so we should use our European funds to collaborate, and so to change our mindset from a competitive mindset to a collaborative mindset, and use these funds to work together on these issues. Then I agree with you when you say that we have to combine the upskill with traditional training, traditional education, because traditional education is also a strong point of Europe. So we have to focus on, give both, I think. On the one hand, to continue with traditional education, which is a strong point. On the other, to include also innovation, and so upskill and new competencies for the students. And they should become also the players, the actors of this innovation, because they have already the mindset in innovation, much more than we think about them. And so I would also find synergies between vocational schools and higher education institutions. This is also very important, according to me. So synergies between action, for instance, the Recovery Fund in Italy gives a lot of funds for innovation, and we should combine European funds with national funds. So we have a great opportunity now for Innovate Europe.
Thank you very much, Professor Lipiello. Certainly very important issues, once again underlining the importance of taking a holistic approach when we discuss education and innovation. A very important point that you raised about the European values and the contribution of education and the need of collaboration. But I turn now to Commissioner Gabriel. Commissioner, after listening to all these very valuable thoughts and remarks and the suggestions and also the challenges, what would be your reaction, and how do you see all this resonating to the two policy initiatives?
Well, first of all, it's really very useful to listen to you. I think that definitely we share a common vision. For us, universities are in the driving seat for Europe leader in innovation. It's clear. At the same time, it's clear that closer those two worlds of education and innovation are working, closer we get to our strategic goals for tackling the green and digital transition, and at the same time, really investing in the next generation of universities, researchers, students, entrepreneurs. So I would like to react. I think that first it's really important, again, to remind the importance of the European Universities Alliances. Because actually we have 44 alliances, 350 universities are engaged. What I would like to insist here is that maybe 3 points. First, and we should continue to talk about, they have now a much more sustainable funding than in the pilot project. We started with 205 million euros. For the next period, 21-27, we have 1.1 billion euros. So I think that we have to use this momentum with this funding really to identify the strategic areas where our alliances can make a difference. Of course, here we have 3 other flagship initiatives with the European strategy. We need to work on a European degree, and my only plea is let's change the pace. For 20 years, we are talking about recognition of diploma, Bologna process, and all this. I think that with the European Universities Alliances, we can definitely show that new technologies are not waiting for us. We need to evolve rapidly, and we need to be together with our young people. So the second thing is the statute of the alliances, another very, very important question, because we'll never convince our universities that innovation is here for them if there is no at least minimum of clarity and certainty how they can overcome some of the administrative barriers, some of the procedures. Of course, the European student card, here we have a clear objective. What I would like to mention here, and that's something new that I see that is evolving the last 2-3 months when we started the work with the European Network of Innovative Universities, is that first, it's very good to preserve the openness of the alliances, and I strongly support what Madame Kammerevert said, to be open, maybe more to regional universities. I already have some examples of the alliances. They started to understand that above all, when we talk about an innovation ecosystem, an university in our regions, they have their particularities, they have their specificities. On one side, to preserve the identity, we are proud with our culture, with our history, but at the same time, yes, with innovation, to make sure the ecosystem is here, united at the beginning, and at the same time connect to others. The second thing is to see the alliances working between themselves. Until now, we have to say, the alliances were there saying, I'm the best one, and there was this kind of, it's good to have this competition, but that's a period. Now we need more and more alliances that are working together. And for me, the good example was done in Salamanca 3 weeks ago. I met the European Network of Innovative Universities. 6 of the alliances decided for the first time to create in common an incubator for rural areas. So these universities will work for people that have these particular needs of competencies and skills in order to make our rural areas more vibrant, and all this with education and innovation. So for me, that's a very, very, very strong signal. The second thing that I would like to mention is much more linked to the European innovation agenda. Of course, we can't, Mr. Rubik, we can't ask our professors to go 1 day per week in a company because full respect of academic freedom, independence, and autonomy of our universities. And you know that that's a value for me. But what we'll start now with the European innovation agenda, and we start since January 23, it will be for the first time to have a new traineeship scheme for researchers and companies funded by EIC. So researchers can go in the companies and to discover the real world, and on the other side to allow our companies to have access to data and not to rediscover hot water. So that's happened quite often. So I think that will be a good example. The other one is with EIT Innovators at School. I firmly believe that if we have to convince our young people that innovation is something for them, that's not up to us politicians to tell them to do that. They need to see role models, people that are like you, facing problems, having their success stories. So for us, that will be another important program, and I'm very glad that we receive a lot of support. Now it's really time to act. So if I have to resume, yes, synergies, and let's continue to talk about funding between Horizon and Erasmus and the cohesion funds, the regional development funds, the national recovery and resilience funds, and there is a momentum to seize. Let's first show that now with incubators at universities, innovators at schools, traineeships, we are able to show and these examples and that they can work and to lead by example. And of course, more common actions. For me, now we are entering into this crucial phase. Let's have common initiatives, but above all, let's show that in common between education and innovation, we can achieve better results to tackle challenges that are not only for the future, they are for our present too.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, for your very comprehensive reaction, collaboration, change of pace, openness of all the initiatives, greater synergies. As we do not have much time, I would like to give the opportunity of the other speakers whether you'd like to react or complement anything to what the Commissioner already said. I see Dr. Rubik, please.
Yes, taking the opportunity. Because, you know, European Union has a lot of institutions and a lot of agencies. I think we have more than 40 agencies doing excellent work. And I think it would be also a great idea to have partnership with universities. So combining our agencies with partnerships with the agencies, that could give a real impact in distributing the knowledge which we get in the agencies to the university and vice versa. I think the whole system would have a big benefit in creating such a partnership. And of course, within the EIT, the higher education plays a more important role. And that's also necessary to see the structure of the European Institute of Technology in Budapest, because of course it's a European agency to say so. But the level with the KICs, with the knowledge innovation centers, that's a real rollout also in the rural areas. So, and I think especially in the rural area, it's necessary to perform in a better way than we did up till now. I'm coming from Upper Austria. Now we get a new university, from the scratch, and that also could be a target. That every year we should support one new, totally new university in the European Union. That could be also something where we see, okay, there is a presidency, and maybe the presidency should present their idea of a new university, and maybe in a cooperation with the European Institute of Technology would be nice.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rubik. I think that this is a very nice way actually to conclude this session. I'm afraid we are running out of time, but I would like to very warmly thank all our speakers. Indeed, a lot of important issues have been raised during this very rich discussion. We need to continue working closely together, close collaboration across all sectors and levels of education and innovation. We need to further foster the synergies and links between education and innovation. We have a great, excellent basis through the various European instruments, programs, initiatives, which are like European University Alliances and many others, the EIT that were mentioned. So thank you very much, and to all our viewers and the audience who followed this discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.